train, you're tied to the tracks. No way to escape, there's no coming back. You're in my way, and I haven't got the time to take. It's still walk away, and this is fight another day.
Greetings everyone, Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my comic book review for this week of July 2012. I apologize for being so late with this. I recently just spent the past few days in Kentucky on vacation visiting my brother and my sister-in-law. Had a good time, got to go to a ball game. I just caught up with some old friends and it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I told myself I was going to do this even if it was late. Now, before I get started with my comic book review, I got a special bonus for you guys. He's going to talk about Spider-Man. Big shock. Well, yeah, the movie was good. Go ahead and talk about it. Yeah, he's right. My bonus is a very tardy review of The Amazing Spider-Man from the box office. This movie opened up last week. My girlfriend and I went and saw it just before I left for Kentucky. And I have to say, this movie was exactly what it said it was. Amazing. I said, when my student, TheMtVernonKid, reviewed it, I said this movie was amazing, it was spectacular, and it was even way above. All joking aside, this was an awesome movie. Now, before I get started with reviewing this movie, I'm going to say that I'm not going to go into a detail comparison with Amazing Spider-Man and the Avengers. The only thing I will say is that as great as Amazing Spider-Man was, I still thought Avengers was a better movie. That's just my opinion. Now, another thing, a lot of fans are saying they don't want to do this, but as a hardcore Spider-Man fan, I feel like I kind of have to. I feel like I should compare this Spider-Man movie to the previous 3 Spider-Man movies that were done by Sam Raimi. In my honest opinion, Amazing Spider-Man was better than the 3 Raimi movies. That's just my opinion. If you hated The Amazing Spider-Man, or if you liked it but still thought the previous 3 Raimi movies were better, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. To me, Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire was, because after seeing this movie, I went back and watched the 3 Raimi movies, and I really watched them. I went into an in-depth watching, and I noticed a thing about Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Was he a good Spider-Man in the first movie? Absolutely. Was he a good Spider-Man in the second movie? Yes. But the third movie, he was basically nothing but a whiny bitch in a black suit. That was it. Andrew Garfield's character, the way he portrays Peter Parker and Spider-Man, it looks more believable. With the 3 Raimi movies, it does feel like you're watching a movie. But when I watched Andrew Garfield's portrayal of the character, I didn't see this as an actor portraying a part. I was like, no, I saw fucking Spider-Man. And as another thing my student, the Mount Vernon kid, pointed out, I too loved the web shooters. The only thing I didn't like about the web shooters is that there was not a scene where there wasn't a dire scene where he ran out of webbing, like say he was like in the middle of a fight with the Lizard, the villain of this movie, and he was trying to web him up but he ran out of webbing. I didn't get that. If there was a scene, I must have sneezed or coughed or something and missed it. But other than that, it was great. I loved how he used the webbing. The way the webbing was used in this movie made more sense. It fit the character better. Emma Stone. Emma Stone did a fantastic job as Gwen Stacy. And I'm going to be honest again. As always, I was not expecting that much goodness from Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy, because you look at Emma Stone as a redhead, and I see Mary Jane, and I thought Emma Stone would have made a great Mary Jane. I thought they should have got somebody else to play Gwen Stacy, because I do think that using Gwen Stacy as the love interest first is a good idea. If you are going to bring Mary Jane into this set of movies, you don't need to do it right off the bat. Use Gwen first, because Gwen was the original love of Peter Parker. And I thought Emma Stone did a fantastic job. And I loved the fact that Gwen Stacy in this movie wasn't used as a stereotypical damsel in distress. She was her own character. She was strong. She was smart. She was witty. She had good dialogue. She wasn't the stereotypical damsel in distress like Kirsten Dunst was in the 3 Raimi movies. And I thought that was a plus. I thought that was really, really good. Now, I must say, I thought the romance between Gwen and Peter, it didn't feel forced, but it slightly felt a little rushed. It's like they're on a dinner date with her family, and within like 10 minutes of probably one of the most awkward dinner scenes I've ever seen in a movie, he just like, I'm Spider-Man. And it's like, wow, that was, not only did he reveal himself to her really quick, they seemed to hook up real quick. I'm like, that was fast. That wasn't a bad thing, it's just a nitpick. The Lizard was fantastic in this movie. I loved the way the Lizard was done. This was the villain I was wanting in the 4th possible Raimi movie. And now that I've seen this movie, I'm glad Raimi didn't make a 4th one and totally fuck it up, as he fucked up the 3rd one. But the Lizard was done very well. Again, nitpicking. The only thing I didn't like about the Lizard was they didn't give his character any sympathy. No wife, no son Billy, nothing. He's just, right off the bat, the minute you see him, you instantly think, this dude's fucking crazy. Possibly. And then the more you see him, the more you know he's fucking crazy. And as others have pointed out, and as my student has also pointed out, they made this Lizard intelligent. And I was like, thank you. I didn't want the mindless Lizard. I wanted the intelligent Lizard, and it was very well done. The fight scenes were phenomenal. The shots were spectacular. No pun intended. The costume for Spider-Man, I'm okay with it. I have an open mind. This is the Marvel Movieverse, as some fans have called it, and I'm fine with the Spider-Man costume. I love the way the web shooters are done. Spider-Man's introductory scene with the car thief was very funny. It was short, but it was very funny. Dennis Leary did a fantastic job as Captain George Stacy. Now, I'm not going to spoil what happens to him. Now, I got to say, he did a great job. His acting was very, very well done. It wasn't the asshole Dennis Leary. I mean, Dennis Leary, he got this role and he nailed it. And I thought he did a great job. Spoiler alert. He unfortunately gets killed at the end of the movie, as I'm sure that was probably expected. Now, this shouldn't be any spoiler. We knew Uncle Ben was going to die in this movie. I mean, come on, that's the basis of how Peter decided to become a superhero. But I like how they changed up the origin. They kept the original plot of the origin intact. They just changed the scenario. And I applaud that. It was different and it was nice. It was nicely done, and I appreciate that. Now let's talk about Peter's aunt and uncle. Martin Sheen and Sally Field. Wow, they did a great job. Sally Field sold me as Aunt May. She sold me a million times better than the Aunt May from the Raimi movies. The Aunt May from the Raimi movies bored me to fucking death. But, yeah. And Martin Sheen, he came off as a more believable Uncle Ben. Peter's life growing up being raised by his aunt and uncle didn't look so storybook charming. It's like, oh gee, Uncle Ben, can you help me with my homework again? Oh sure, Peter. It didn't come off like that. He had real problems that a teenager would often have when he's picked on. He's got responsibilities and all that. It looked more believable. Now, that's all I'm going to say about this movie. The rest of the movie just looked very well done. The action scenes were good. The actors all did a fantastic job nailing their roles. Overall, I would give this movie 4 stars. Well, no, I'll be even more nice. 4.5 stars out of 5. The movie had its flaws, but overall, I really loved this movie. So much, I really do personally approve of this movie over the 3 Raimi movies, even though I do enjoy the 3 Raimi movies. Spider-Man 3 to a certain extent, but this movie, in my opinion, was better. That's it. Alright, I probably rambled on too long. Let's get to the books. We're going to start off with Marvel, and ironically, here's my pick of the week. The Amazing Spider-Man, number 689. Dan Slott, my hat's off to you, man. This was good. This is the next part of the Lizard story. You have to bear with me. Arkham Comics ran out of bags and boards, so I'm doing this flippy floppy style. Giuseppe Camuncoli still does a fantastic job with the artwork in here. Now, in here, we see further progression of the story concerning Kurt Connors and the Lizard and the dilemma with Michael Morbius. Now, we kind of got a guess as to how well the Lizard was cured in the last issue. We really didn't. I really couldn't say with the 100% certainty is like, okay, the Lizard's just trying to talk to him, psychically or something like that, or through psychosis or whatever. No. In here, we see that, yes, it is Kurt Connors, but not really. Kurt Connors is now, he is the Lizard both in and out. He is the Lizard even when he's Kurt Connors. Because you see what Kurt is saying, but then you also see what he's thinking. He's looking at his dead son's corpse, and all he can think about is how he can whip some of these guys' asses behind him. Wow. That Dan Slott did a great job with that part of the writing. Sold me on just how fucking crazy this guy is. Just phenomenal. A misunderstanding with Morbius that sadly leads to a possible tragedy, but it's a misunderstanding that turns into a pretty good fight scene between him and Peter. But yeah, overall, the ending of the book, woo, what Kurt does to a certain friend of Peter's, and then what he does at the very end was just fucking creepy, and I loved it. This was awesome. Loved the darkness, loved the psycho character development of Kurt Connors, loved the dialogue, loved the drama, the action was good. This was great. Even better than the last issue. Do yourselves a favor. If you're still on board with Amazing Spider-Man, if you haven't given up on it, this is still an awesome book to have. Alright. Moving along, we got Avengers vs. X-Men, round 7. Now, you see that name right there. You're automatically going to assume I'm going to tear this book a new asshole, right? I would love to, but okay. We're in Bizarro world. Matt Fraction wrote this book, and I didn't hate it. I shit you not. You heard that right. Matt Fraction wrote this book, and I didn't hate it. But did I love it? No. It's still got all the flips and flaws that Matt Fraction is known for. I mean, they're able to use Scarlet Witch's powers to help. The Avengers are able to use Scarlet Witch to help them battle the Phoenix Five and the X-Men using a simple parlor trick that I think a telepath like Emma Frost or Psylocke could detect without the Phoenix power. So kind of looks a little iffy, but for what it is, I'll run with it. And you got, to me, the best dialogue here was from Tony Stark. The only thing the thing I hated the most, other than the fact that the X-Men are still being portrayed as the clear-cut villains, is Hope. God, it seems like the more I read this story, the younger she looks. I mean, the last issue she looked like she was 12, and here she looks like she's fucking 8. I swear to God. Let me find her in here. Hang on. I'm like, what is Marvel's problem? They're making her look even younger. I don't know how well you can see that, but oh my God, look how short and look how young she looks. She looks like she's 8 years old. What the hell, Marvel? What are you doing? Capelli's artwork really suffers from that. And still, you still want to think to yourself, Nightwing ripoff anybody? But yeah, the artwork was very colorful. It pops. The storytelling is it's Matt Fraction. It's his style of storytelling. Possession galore and big magical powers that, you know, don't seem to advance the battle as far as it should, but yeah, it's Fraction. I understand this is gonna. I've already covered my thoughts on the whole Marvel Now thing that's gonna happen after this is over. This was just okay at best. I know I sound like a hateful fanboy for hating on Matt Fraction so much, but sue me, I'm being honest. And if you don't like my honesty, then I am deeply sorry. But this was a Fraction book, and 99% of the time, I don't like Fraction books. So I'm just going to say it was okay at best. Let's move on. Moving on with X Factor 239. Peter David, I salute you. You are still knocking this out of the park. You got a great story with Banshee, with Terry here. You still got a great story going with her, or Teresa. Apparently there's a child who can summon a Banshee, who can summon an actual Banshee. And she makes, this Banshee makes Teresa look like a real slouch. I mean, makes her look like a complete pushover, and that's kind of tough to look at, but you can't help but look away. We get a possible romance developing in here between two of the members. I'm not going to spoil who that is. And you still got some funny dialogue as well in here. And this, it's like at the end of the book, it says something about, you know, a new race of gods will walk the earth. We all know where this is going. X Factor is going to finally start possibly tying into AVX. But, you know, I'd like to see what Peter David can do with this. If this does indeed cross over into AVX, I want to see where this goes. But the majority of the book is Teresa, our Banshee, versus a real Banshee. The dialogue is great. The tension is great. It's still some of Peter David's finest work, and I salute him for it again. And I still am begging Marvel, please never, ever take Peter David off this title. If Peter David ever leaves, then just retire the series. Because I don't think anybody could write X Factor better than he can. That's just me. Alright, moving on to DC, we got Detective Comics number 11. we get more and more storytelling concerning Mr. Toxic. Tony Daniel writes it, and he does the cover, but in the interior art, we got Julio Ferreira. I bet I mispronounced that name, and I'm sorry if I did. But we get more character development, details about Mr. Toxic or Dr. Toxic. I don't remember which one. Yeah, Mr. Toxic. And we learn what his identity is, and ironically, it's the guy that Batman was trying to save to begin with. And you think to yourself, and I called it as soon as Mr. Toxic's mask got broken, and you see it's the same guy. I called it clones. Either clones or time travel, one or the other, and I called it. It was clones. I'll give that part away. Another comic book story dealing with fucking clones. Hey, sometimes clones can work. Sometimes, not so much. But yeah, it's still a pretty good, pretty solid story from Tony Daniel. It's starting to slip with me just a little bit, but some good. It's the beginning with the Mr. Toxic. It's got a good touch of good espionage in it. I'll give it that. And the second story with Two-Face is just really dark. I don't want to give any of that away. I thought it was really good. But yeah, still a solid series. A lot of people are giving shit to Tony Daniel. I personally think Tony Daniel's doing a good job with this, but I think it's time, once Tony Daniel is done with it, I think it's time for somebody else to write for Detective Comics. And I'm going to throw that question out to all of you guys out there. Who do you think should be writing Detective Comics right now? And please don't say Paul Dini, okay? Because that's just too obvious. Alright, but there you go. Detective Comics 11. And now, take a look at this. Yes, I get to talk, Yeah, he's right. Okay, you're up. Finally, the great one himself. Oh wait, somebody's already got that line. How about, it's about damn time I get to talk again. Now don't make this too long. Remember, I'm still in control. Whatever. Y'all know why I'm here. And hell, I'm willing to bet y'all know I'm the reason why you watch. Isn't it? Yeah. Whatever. I'm here today. You know what I'm here for. I'm talking about Earth 2 number 3. I don't know how well you can get a look at that, but look at that. Yeah, even the light thinks that's glowing real good. Yeah, just like my supposed master or boss who claims he controls this show. Yeah, I too ran out of bags and boards, so bear with me. I'm doing it the old school style. Flippity flop. Okay. It's the same people who did the first and second issue, Robinson and the Scotts, you know them. But this right here is our big introduction to the Earth 2 Green Lantern. Now, in issue 2, we got introduced to Alan Scott and we learned he was gay. Okay, whatever. Earth 2 number 2 was a good story. We got some good Jay Garrick Flash action, and we got a good introduction to the character of Alan Scott. But here is where we get our first look at Green Lantern Alan Scott. And I gotta admit, and I'm hoping my regular, normal 616 counterpart will agree with me, but the Earth 2 Green Lantern costume is badass. I loved it. Very colorful, very vibrant, it pops and it's great. Loved it. I loved the scene, the storytelling leading up to the big reveal, and what his ring is made out of. holds a special sentimental value to Alan Scott. Now, what that exactly is, I'm not going to give that away, but it was a very touching moment, you know? And I'm Mr. Touchy. That sounded wrong. I like touchy moments. You know, I'm a softie. Do I look like a softie to you? Huh? Did you say I look like a softie? What? I'm gonna smack you. No. Gotta be a good boy. Gotta be a good boy. But anyway, this was very, very well done. And there's a being going around killing things left and right. Not people. More like killing life itself. In the trees, the grass, the elements around him. Everything's just dying. And the big reveal at the end of the issue is none of your damn business. You gotta pick this book up and read it, and then you'll find out what it is. But I gotta admit, I'll give you a hint. It's an old buddy of mine I ain't seen in a while. Yeah, loved this issue. All joking aside, this was a great read. Wasn't too heavy on the action. It had its action-ish moments. But what really sells it is the storytelling. James Robinson did do a good job with this. I still don't understand why so many people hate him. Did his stuff with the Justice League really suck that bad? I don't know. But this was great. Loved it. Wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to say, it was good enough for me to say, I likes it. Alright. You're done with me, I'm willing to bet, so I'll give you back your show. Oh, you get one of these as I'm leaving. Another fabulous review by my Earth 2 counterpart, and he forgot to talk about the pretty good scene between Jay Garrick and Hawkgirl. Hey, come on, man, I ain't perfect. Everyone, even people as great as me, tend to make mistakes from time to time. People as great as you. What are you great for? You know, one of these days I'm gonna find out how you control this shit. Yeah, man, you can go ahead and try. Go ahead and try. But, yeah, this was good. Moving on. Justice League International, number 11. Dan Jurgens. We're about to see this series' swan song, and I still say to you, DC, for this. Really, I said this on my Facebook page, you really dropped the ball with JLI. You could have had such wonderful possibilities for this series. Hell, even if you were planning on canceling the series early on, you could have had a great possible spin-off story concerning, maybe Fire and Ice, but no, you had to drop the ball with that too. And we can't, I don't really know how we can get any possible spin-off of this series other than another ongoing series of Booster Gold. That's the only possible spin-off I can see brewing from this. And I don't see that happening. So really, this whole series was just wasted. But I stuck with it because I love these characters. All except for Godiva. I mean, Godiva finally does something in here. Godiva actually does something in here, but it still don't mean shit to me. So, yeah, once this series goes, I could care less if I never see Godiva again. She is probably one of the biggest busts that this whole New 52 thing has ever done. Godiva, what a waste. What a waste of a character. She has been worthless. Yeah, but Godiva has been worthless of a character. The villains in here, they seem kind of stereotypical, and you get an old-fashioned, struggling to escape a trap, beat-down fight, and in the end, a torch is passed. Now, I'm not going to give that part away. A torch is passed at the end, but is it on the good guy's side or the bad guy's side? You gotta get this book and find out. This issue was a good read for what it was, but still, DC, you could do so much more for this. Really dropped the ball with it, but I'm sticking with it because I love this team, except for Godiva. Moving along, we got Red Lanterns number 11. ambushed by Star Sapphire. I gotta say, that cover looks pretty damn colorfully awesome. Peter Milligan still doing what he does good for this series. Wow, Fatality. The Star Sapphire in here is really put to an emotional test in here. Her emotions are put to a test, and so is her fucking nerves, because she's got to put up with Bleez. And let's just say Bleez ain't exactly the shyest character in the DC universe. Like, you know, some very, very tense drama concerning Atrocitus and what he's going through. I'm not going to ruin that. Only thing I will say, I really don't know what to say without spoiling the whole book, other than what I said about Fatality. So I'll just say this series continues to be very well done, and I'm hoping DC doesn't cancel this. I hope DC sticks with it, because I am a huge fan of the Red Lanterns, and that's all I really can say. I really don't know how to sum this up without spoiling the damn thing. Yeah, I mean, it was really, really well done. Especially especially what Bleez does to Fatality, to the specific thing that she does to test her connection to her emotion. You know, that's the way it is, and things ain't looking so well for Atrocitus at the end. So keep going with this series and enjoy it just like I have been. Alright, we're going to close this out with World's Finest number 3. Death in the Skies Above Tokyo. I guess you could say this is the conclusion of Huntress and Power Girl's struggle with what's his name? Haku. This radioactive supervillain that may or may not have come from, that may or may not actually be from, you know, the regular Earth that DC is based on. To me, I'm a fanboy. My favorite part of this book is still George Perez's artwork. I've always been a fan of George Perez's artwork, and it wasn't really spectacular when the series got started, but it is getting better, and I'm glad I don't have any bags and boards so I can show this to you. You get a nice little hint, wink, wink at certain costume design in here, and I thought that was really touching. Thought it was very well done. Who cares if her tits ain't that big anymore? Who really cares? I mean, come on, guys. She's not real. But yeah, the action here was, in a word, explosive. The dialogue was okay for what it was. I mean, Levitz does do what he can, but the action clearly overshadows the dialogue and the storytelling. And believe me when I say the action is very explosive. But yeah, I gotta say, this is probably the best out of the first 3 issues for me so far. I really enjoyed it. And I think, you know, as long as we keep with Huntress and Power Girl and we don't rotate like I think DC Universe Presents does, I think if we stick with Huntress and Power Girl, then I might stick with it. Who knows? This series could have potential. Alright, that's all I got for this week, everybody. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to thank your oh-so-wonderful Earth 2 counterpart for helping me do this shit. Oh, so wonderful. Yeah, thank you. There you go. There's your thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, everybody. Subscribe to this channel and my second channel, Blugoblin X. Follow me on Twitter and Tumblr, please. You won't regret it, as I have said before. Until next time, everybody. I'll see you later.